It's that time. Welcome to Roadmap, how to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week, we interview a great agent who is consistently taking 2, 3, and sometimes 4 listings a week. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of the knowledge as quickly as you can, and then use the copycat principle. Let me introduce my co-host from San Diego. That's Carly Hathaway, carlyhathaway.com to be specific. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, Ren. Hi, everybody. Real estate is great. I am so happy that I am focusing on being a listing agent and not working with those buyers.
Good. You keep it up.
Yeah.
I'm excited for all your successes. Go take a few more.
Yes.
Before I introduce our guest today, I want to remind everybody that we are also simulcasting the show on the private Lead Gen group on Facebook. Lead Gen has 52,000 members, so we have a large audience there today as well. And we'll be pausing for a commercial message during the show as a thank you to the Lead Gen folks. Let's welcome our guest today from beautiful Myrtle Beach, Miss Katie Engler.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Glad you're here.
Yeah, we're excited. We're excited for this one.
Me too.
Good. Wonderful, wonderful. So, Carly.
So, Katie, how long have you been in real estate? Let's start out with that.
I am new to real estate. I'm going into my 2nd year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good. Good for you. And how's it going so far?
It's going a lot better now that I've found the right source of my data. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
So, okay. So you're using Vulcan7, I'm assuming?
I am.
Katie, so I'm so glad you're with Vulcan7. I am too. Great lead gen company. So let's talk about before you were with Vulcan7. What were you doing to get a bunch of listings?
Well, I really wasn't focusing on listings in the very beginning. I was trying to just have more instant gratification of buyer clients bringing in any type of revenue that I could.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a newer agent, it's like people don't really tell you how to navigate that the right way.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So it's a lot of trial and error. So I tried the whole, online lead generation, Facebook advertising, Zillow, the whole 9 yards. And it was very expensive for a very long turnaround time and not much return off of that.
Mm-hmm.
So my husband and I worked together as a team, and we just put our heads together and we're like, how can we change this where we're not forking out way more money than what's justifiable to come back in?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when we came across Vulcan.
How long have you been with Vulcan now?
Going on about 2 to 3 months.
Mm-hmm. And how's it going for you so far?
Amazing. Taking about 2 to 3 listings a week. So we're thrilled. Yeah.
Huge. That's
Thank
huge.
you.
Good for you.
Thank
Good.
you.
So you said you're mostly calling expireds?
Mostly expireds, withdrawals, and now getting into for sale by owner.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Good. And so you and your husband are a team. Can you walk us through your daily schedule?
Sure. We like to keep it as consistent as we can just because we've found, success with what we're doing so far. And the key is consistency. So we wake up at about 6:30. We go through all of the data and kind of organize, who are we wanting to speak with? Why are we wanting to speak with them? And we need a little bit of knowledge about their property before we call. Mm-hmm. And once we do that, we run through the list. Whoever didn't answer, earlier that morning, we're trying them again in the afternoon. And, depending on the day, we might have prospecting in there that's other than making calls. Mm-hmm. If not, then we're just basically focusing on getting appointments out of those phone conversations.
Awesome. Good for you. I haven't heard that you wake up early and kind of go through the new leads and kind of organize and do research. I haven't heard that, but I think that's a really great idea because sometimes I'll just jump on the phones clueless and I'm like, who am I calling? Like, what's happening?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a really good, useful tip for sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. And let me ask you this. Do you leave voicemails?
No.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I say no is just because I feel like we all sort of sound the same, and they know that if all of us are calling in the morning, even if you are vague saying, hey, I'm calling about the property, please give me a call back, they know you're a real estate agent. So, I mean, you've kind of given it away already.
Mhm.
I would rather try them again before I chose to do that. Now, if I can't get them the second or third time, then there's likely less harm in leaving one, but I won't leave one after the first time.
Okay, that's great. And let me ask you this. So you have a new expired, you call them in the morning, they don't answer. You call them in the afternoon, they don't answer. What's your continued calling schedule to get them? When do you let them go? When do you keep going?
I wouldn't. I would try to go to them if I can see that they're here. If the owner address is matching, I guess, like the property that has expired, then that's going to be a very different follow-up than if it's not. If it's a vacant property, then I can't get to them, so I need to call. I would say email follow-up after, and if I'm still not getting anywhere, then I would try to door knock it.
Awesome. Good for you. I like how proactive.
I love this. 2 years in the business, she's taking 3 listings a week, 2 or 3 listings a week. That's just phenomenal. And it's exciting. And really, I guess it's just a matter of being focused and getting in there and just doing it every day consistently.
The consistency really is a huge part of it. And I think honestly, another huge part is not sounding so I say the same exact thing to everyone, every call that I do. I think a lot of people get so kind of shocked by a script that they don't sound relatable, and then they just get hung up on.
Yeah, well, what is it? It's not the script, it's the poor use of a script. If you sound canned, if you sound rigid, if you don't sound conversational, then it's offensive. It just is.
Sure, it needs to be internalized.
Right. Because I'm sure you're saying some similar things, but it probably sounds a little more relaxed, a little more human. Maybe it's got some energy in it.
Yeah, I mean, you just, I found that the more that you just speak with these people, they're regular people. It could be like your mom or my mom that is going through something that they need your help, and just talk to them.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting that you're having such a great batting average right out of the gate. What's your goal for this year?
I like to think of my goal as being more of a transaction count than a dollar figure, especially right now, because this is such newly found success for us. I would like to be able to take between 10 to 12 listings a month. And then, that would be within, I would say, between the $200,000 and $350,000 price point in our area. So, the amount times in that range.
So you take about 120 listings a year, roughly.
Yeah.
And then 100 sell. And then you have 100 listings sold. And then out of those 100 listings sold, probably 40 or 50 are going to buy locally. Would that be fair?
Sure.
All right. So 100 listings sold and maybe another 145 buyer sales as a result of the fact they have to immediately pick out a house. So about 145 then maybe, huh?
Yeah, that would be the target.
In your second year. I love it.
Katie, what do you find different about, obviously you have, like you said, this newfound success. You're taking all these listings, you're getting 2-3 listing appointments a week. What do you think sets Vulcan apart that has led to this new success?
The ease of the dashboard. It's very simple to be able to navigate where you are. The dialer's going very quickly. It's enough to just kind of digest by itself without having navigational issues. And of course the accuracy. The accuracy is everything.
The phone numbers, the accuracy in the phone numbers.
Yeah,
I totally agree. Because it's hard enough making these phone calls, but then to make them and no one answers and it's wrong number every time, it's so frustrating.
It is. And if you're going to put the time into it, you need to put that time in front of people that you can speak with, and instead of trying to call people that don't exist.
Yeah, exactly. And do you have any other kind of coaches you follow, or any other inspirational people that you read their stuff, or anything like that?
Well, my educational background is in business marketing. That's what my degrees are in. So I follow certain marketing journals and influencers on that side that may not even be involved in real estate. And I've just sort of taken that and merged it with what I'm finding to be successful when I call. So it's a little bit of everything. It's some real estate influencers, some marketing influencers, putting them together and just kind of making my own way.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's obviously working.
Thanks.
Yeah. What else?
So, yeah, you're too new to have a database of any large size, but I'm sure you're building it up fast. At the rate you're doing business.
Yes.
How many people are in your database? People that you know them, they know you, they would probably send business to you. How many would that be? Those A and B clients?
I would say 200 and under. My database is not very large.
Okay, yeah, right. But, 200 people can send a fair amount of business too. What are you doing to communicate with them on a regular basis?
I have drip campaigns that I've set up, and it's a small series that's more of a warm touch point. No one really wants to be sold, especially over an email. They get 500 others a day. And it's just really me touching base of, hey, I'm here. These are the areas I serve. If you have any questions, please come to me type of feel with this.
Gotcha.
But it is just a drip series campaign that will allow them to just keep me as a relevant agent in their community.
Do you talk to any of those people?
I do.
Okay. You don't have a regular plan for that yet. 'Cause I guess it's still kind of new for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've honestly been focusing on like for sale by owner and expireds, and I've just, since it's taken off, I just kind of have been focusing on that, but I have been nurturing that base.
Yeah. Well, and so you said you're just starting to tap into the for sale by owner leads. What are the biggest differences you see in those compared to the expireds?
As far as the procedure of how I would go about speaking with them?
Yeah, how you make the call. Like, is it a longer process? Is there more follow-up, less follow-up?
Yes, it's a very different process, and it's a very different conversation. Mm-hmm. And expired has already at one point, decided that, hey, working with an agent could be a great thing. A for sale by owner may or may have not ever worked with an agent before. So it's two different headspaces. Mm-hmm. So when I speak with a for sale by owner, it's already known that it's going to take me probably 2 to 3 months to convert them. Some are just ready off the bat, but most of them are not ready yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that plan looks very different.
Mm-hmm. So you say 2 to 3 months. So what is your follow-up with them? So you make the initial call, you get past their anger, you're having a decent call. When's your next call or email or follow-up after the first one?
Well, I think that it depends on if this just hit the market or if they've been trying to sell for a little while. But regardless, it's an initial phone call. And then depending on how that goes, I'm trying to land an appointment at least to just see the property. Mm-hmm. And, our inventory is quite low here compared to other places. And it is nice to have other options that maybe aren't in our MLS. So, after that initial preview, then it's really just doing something personal. And that's where you have to tap into what does that look like for you versus another agent.
Gotcha.
That's really where it's going to set you apart, is not giving up after that third or fourth attempt. Mm-hmm. Because they're almost there and you put all that work in and now you fall off and you don't get it.
Yeah. I mean, some people say that a for sale by owner doesn't know they have a problem. First, you have to help them understand they have a problem, and then you offer the solution. So.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that.
Yeah, so it can take a couple rounds, whereas an expired, you call them on Monday morning, meet with them Monday afternoon, and put a pending sign on it on Thursday.
Yep, they're definitely more ready in general. Not all of them, but as an aggregate, I would say that's 100% correct.
Now, not everybody's friendly. For sale owners is a little friendlier than expired sometimes, but how do you do this on the day you don't feel like it, where you feel a little full, because people, there's a mindset piece to this.
There's a huge mindset piece to it. And I think if you go into it with the mindset of, oh my goodness, I may run into that person that's like, you're the 50th person that's called me, please, don't ever call me again. you're going to get that. Everyone's going to get that. And I don't think there's a way around getting it. I think that you just have to look at it as, I have 60 opportunities this morning, or however large your market is.
Yeah.
And if it's not you, then it might be one of these other 59 that I'm not going to compromise with my mindset because of the 1 out of 60 that, wasn't wanting to work with me. So it's just not penalizing the others, I guess, is the most important part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And what's the biggest challenge you find when trying to get through to these expireds? Like, obviously when they answer, they know who you are, they're trying to shut you down right away. What's the biggest objection handler that you have been facing?
Everyone else calling.
Mm-hmm. And so how do you handle that?
Yeah. So the biggest thing is not for us to figure out how we can help you. That we sort of already know, at least an overarching view before I even get to your personal situation, but it's getting to be able to have that part of the conversation. So how I handle it is just, I just have a couple of questions for you. If right now is not a good time, I totally respect that. But if you do have a few minutes, I just needed a little bit of clarification and go from there. And that's what that conversation sort of looks like. I feel like some people are very non-respectful and pushy past that comfort zone. And you're not going to build the trust if you can't respect them in the first 5 minutes of the conversation.
Okay. And we call that a permission question. And by asking that permission question, then they grant you, and then you get a little bit of time to talk and make your value proposition.
Absolutely.
So that's fantastic. And that seems to work well. And folks, there is a great idea, because if you show that respect, ask the permission question, and then they say, sure, I'll listen to you. And then how do you differentiate yourself from Greg Harrelson and Greg Sisson and all those people?
Well, we're far smaller, right? I mean, both of those gentlemen are very, very prominent in our area and people that I would love to look up to and follow myself. We are in nowhere near the same apples to apples as agents, but how I would at least start to position myself against it would just be like, hey, we're up at 6 a.m. This is important to us. It's our livelihood. We want to do anything and everything that we can to help you. The only way that I can share that with you is to be able to get in front of you and lay that out and just let you make your decision for yourself. It never hurts to give somebody 10 minutes for the fate of the sale of your house. We surprisingly, we all don't have the same thing to say. So it's just going about it in a matter of being genuine and letting that genuine personality become the differentiator.
Mm-hmm.
How long is a typical listing presentation?
It depends. I would say I don't like to be there any longer than 20, 25 minutes. And that's only not because I don't like it. It's because I don't want to overstay my welcome.
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, an Academy Award movie is what, an hour and a half? I mean, this is just a listing.
Yeah.
So what challenge do you face in the listing presentation when you're in the home? What's the most common objection?
How are you going to get it sold when I don't have the trust that it can be done because the other person failed me?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a really good one.
What's your batting average? If you go on 10 of them, how many do you take typically?
Well, I can say last week I went on 4 and I took 3.
Yeah.
So thanks. So you're not going to get them all, and that's totally fine. And that's not, not even looking at it pessimistically or anything, just realism.
Well, I would think out of the 25% you didn't take, or they didn't take you. So 12.5% of them didn't want you, and you 12.5% you didn't want them. I mean, aren't there some times where you're like, I got to get out of here?
Well, I mean, not everyone is the right fit, like you're saying, from me to the client or the client to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And if I don't feel that I can genuinely help you for whatever reason, be it expectations are not matching, timelines aren't matching, the market's not matching, whatever it may be, I would rather have that honest conversation of, Mr. and Mrs. House Seller, based on, how far apart we are here with realistic expectations. I just, I don't feel comfortable telling you something that I can't deliver on, and that may happen instead of just saying whatever it takes to get someone to list with you. And that's not going to do anything but tarnish your reputation.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
hurt your client.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yeah. So you were saying the biggest one is like, how can you get this sold when no one else has been able to? So what do you say to that?
That's where that 6 a.m. research comes into play. So we're taking a look at, how does this house position itself in the market? Why is it positioned that way? Who else has been positioned that way? Putting it together in a factual presentation, not a promise presentation, a factual presentation, and letting it, speak for itself. Not just here's the 3 comps, what do you think? It's way more robust than that. Mm-hmm. So when we sit down and we have all these facts laid out, it just becomes kind of hard to argue with all of this data when you're flipping from page to page of just proof upon proof of what works and what's tried and true.
Mm-hmm. So this is a very informational listing presentation. It sounds like you got a fair amount of data.
Yeah, it's very data-based. I feel like we can all sit down and speak about our marketing plan, but not all of us are going to sit down and speak about how we've effectively done it for 5, 10, 15, 20 people in the last month.
And specific to their home and how they're positioned in the market. That is great.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
And that is something,
I love because a lot of times the listing agent is only talking about themselves, and really it has to do with how do we get your house under contract, and this is what we see. Yeah, that carries the day. No wonder you're taking 3 out of 4. Great.
Thank you. I think a lot of us in sales, the number one thing that my father taught me, who was in sales forever, is sometimes we just have to learn how to listen instead of speak. And it makes sense of they're going to tell you what their motivation is. But if it's you just saying how great you are and what awards you have, you're not going to hear that because they don't have the opportunity to tell you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And people love to feel heard, right? So once they feel heard and they understand you listen, they're going to let their guard down and trust you a little more. Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. Well, you may talk about some of these other people doing a lot of business in your market, but I think all of a sudden overnight, 145 sales, which is the direction you're going. That is fantastic. And you're in 2 years in the business.
Thank you.
Pretty exciting. Yes.
I'm proud to be a part of Coldwell Banker and Shakur Advantage in our area. I mean, year to date, we've done 100 million. So it's completely, exploding, and we just have so much support and so many resources. It's nice to have that around you.
So and I would think that, what do you think the factor is when you go in representing a well-respected name like that? Does that make it easier for you?
Sure. I think that people understand who Coldwell Banker is. I mean, I'm sure you can say that, for the top 5, 10 brokerages, I would be saying the same thing. But I think that knowing our backing and knowing, the tools that we have, the resources we have with other mentors that are in our business, just the sheer network alone is just, when you feel that support, you're more confident when you go in and present, because you know that you have all the tools that you need to help your client.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And confidence is so key when you're walking into a listing appointment.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Well, this is exciting, and it's exciting what you're getting accomplished. And I hope a lot of people that are in their second year in the business, or it's their first year, and look that you too can just, how do you sell 145 homes a year? You just every day, like Katie's doing, just worry about taking 1 listing. Every day. Now, you're not going to take 5 in 5 days, but if you took 2, you took 3, that's all it takes. And you do it on the days you don't feel like it, which you kind of rolled that off like, oh, that's easy. But for many people, it's not. What do you do, Katie, when because you have a lot of pendings now? What do you do when you wake up and you've got a wall of pendings and all this stuff coming at you? How do you handle that and go out and take 3 more listings? That's where people get knocked down this time of year, especially. They're like, I can't handle the business I have. What say you?
It's really about being organized and having your time management from the beginning. Because if you wake up one morning and all of a sudden you have 10 things on the whiteboard that you weren't mentally prepared for, now we're just playing catch up. So we have a system. I like to just honestly use Excel Excel and I are friends. So I have everything written out, my prospective clients, my pending sales, my listing appointments, every category that's important to my day. And I'm just running through it, seeing, okay, what's missing? What do I need for this client? And it's every day before I go to bed. So it's never going to creep up on me being 20 tasks at 8 a.m. that I had no idea that I had.
Okay.
So it's really just the consistency. You've got a good structure.
And do you have any staff yet, or is it just you and your husband doing it together and that's it? Or
it's just us. Now, our brokerage does offer certain services for transaction coordination, which we have considered tapping into, as we scale.
So as you scale and all of a sudden you need somebody to just work some of the routine pen to close things for you, it's there. Yes. And they just add that onto the settlement.
Yes.
Then you a bill after closing.
Okay. Worry about it then.
You can scale up to 200, no problem, 300.
That would be great.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a thrill, and we appreciate you being here.
Yeah, this is an awesome interview. And you know what? I really want to interview you in 1 year and see what your goals are then. See where you're at.
That would be terrific. I really appreciate both of you having me on. It's been an honor to be able to be on the show.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for joining
here,
us.
and congratulations on all your success.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we'll see everybody later.
All right. Thanks, Katie. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye, guys.
Bye.
So everybody, I want to read these little notes at the end of the show. If you're watching on Vulcan7 and you want to get involved with the Lead Gen Facebook group who simulcasts our show, go to facebook.com/groups/got-objections. I want to thank Aaron Wittenstein, who runs a program. He has a program called trajectorynow.com. And finally, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not yet involved with Vulcan7, make sure to sign up at vulcan7.com/lead-gen for a special deal. Now, many of you are wondering, how does Katie do it? 2 years in the business. Here's her secret. And it's helpful in two ways. It gives you the power you need on your listing presentations. And if the listing doesn't sell, it helps you. So she gets, as soon as she's done making her calls around 11:30, she goes and gets some delicious Grater's mint chocolate chip ice cream. It's the one for listings. That's the flavor. You can find it anywhere in North America. Go to graters.com. The mint chocolate chip is for listings. The other flavors are if you're working with buyers. So get this, stay on the listing side. Buyers take time. Listings take skill. If the listing is slow to sell, dig a hole in the ground, bury it upside down, and that listing will sell just like that. I want to thank everybody for being here. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.